Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to explore.
Today, we're all about understanding people, like really getting that edge, what makes them tick, how they behave, and maybe even, well, how they try to get their way.
It's like we're going to give everyone X-ray vision for social situations.
It's a great way to put it. And to guide us, we've got this book, How-to-Analyze-People-With-Dark.pdf.
Sounds a little ominous, doesn't it?
The title's definitely attention-grabbing, I'll give it that. But it's full of really practical insights, stuff about dark psychology, body language, even how to spot those manipulation tactics.
We're not trying to turn everyone into, like, a suspicion machine, though.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
More like giving everyone a little extra awareness, like an early warning system.
Exactly. It's not about labeling people good or bad. It's about understanding that whole spectrum of human behavior.
Because, let's be real, we all have those darker tendencies lurking somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even if they don't fully come out to play.
So let's dive into the deep end here. First things first. What exactly is dark psychology, according to this book?
Okay, so they define it as the study of individuals who exhibit certain traits, psychopathic or antisocial tendencies.
Those are some pretty loaded terms.
They are, and often these individuals are driven by this relentless pursuit of power and success, even if it means stepping on others to get there.
So maybe not a supervillain in a cape, but like that coworker who always takes credit for your ideas.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those more subtle signs in everyday life.
The book gives some pretty clear examples. People who constantly lie, cheat, or manipulate others, especially using their emotions, just to get ahead.
Right, playing on people's feelings.
It actually gets kind of chilling when the book goes into how these dark psychology traits can pop up in abusive relationships.
That's a really important point. One tactic they highlight is called misattribution. It's where the abuser twists things around to make the victim feel like they're the problem.
So messed up.
It is. Imagine a partner saying, "You're overreacting," or "You're too sensitive" whenever you try to express your feelings.
Classic gaslighting.
Exactly. It invalidates your emotions and keeps the abuser in control.
Wow. I think, honestly, a lot of us might have experienced something like this without even realizing what was happening.
That's why it's so crucial to understand these tactics. It's not about being paranoid, but about developing that discerning eye, protecting yourself from those who might try to take advantage.
Okay, so we've talked about the darker side of psychology, but what about something a little more visible? The book dives deep into body language, and it's packed with details about reading those nonverbal cues.
It's fascinating, right? We communicate so much without ever saying a word.
It's like a whole secret language, but one we don't always understand.
Totally.
For example, the book says that, get this, exaggerated nodding can actually be a sign of insecurity, not agreement. And covering your mouth, that can be a subconscious attempt to hold back words you don't want to say.
It's like our bodies betray us, even when we're trying to keep a poker face.
Have you ever been in a conversation where something felt off, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why?
Oh, all the time. It's like that feeling when someone's words and their body language just don't match up.
I totally get that. It happened to me once when I told a joke, and this person laughed way too hard, but their eyes were totally blank. Like they were trying to be amused, but weren't actually.
That's a perfect example of how body language can totally contradict what someone's saying. It's a reminder to pay attention to the whole picture, not just the words coming out of their mouth.
I'm starting to feel like I need to reevaluate all my past interactions.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got dark psychology, body language, but the book also goes into those master manipulators. They've got a whole bag of tricks.
Oh yeah, the manipulation tactics. We touched on misattribution, but there are so many more, like that classic good cop, bad cop routine.
You mean where one person's all aggressive and the other acts like your best friend?
Exactly. It's a tag team designed to wear you down, make you more likely to give in to their demands, and then you've got the white knight.
The one who swoops in to rescue you.
But secretly has their own agenda, right? It's a way to gain your trust, make you dependent on them, and that makes you more vulnerable to their influence. What's crazy is how these tactics can be used anywhere, from personal relationships to the workplace.
So how do we fight back? Knowing these tactics exist is one thing, but actually countering them, that's next level.
Well, the good news is the book offers solutions. It emphasizes that first, we need to recognize our own vulnerabilities.
So being honest with ourselves about where we're easily swayed.
Exactly. Maybe you struggle with setting boundaries, or maybe you're just a trusting person. By identifying those weak spots, you can start building your defenses.
It's like putting on armor before you step onto a battlefield.
I love that analogy. And the book gives you the tools to craft that armor, one of the most important. Learning to reflect before reacting. You see, manipulators love to trigger our emotions so we make impulsive decisions.
Oh, I've been there. One time, I almost fell for this get-rich-quick scheme because I got so caught up in the excitement of it all. Luckily, I took a step back and realized this is way too good to be true.
That's a perfect example of reflection in action. You didn't let your emotions take over and you dodged a bullet.
I was pretty proud of myself for that one. But avoiding manipulation isn't just about saying no all the time, right?
You got it. Another crucial piece is setting those firm boundaries. It's not just about saying no, but defining what you will and won't tolerate in your relationships. All of them, personal, professional, the whole shebang.
It's about being in control of your own choices, not letting others dictate your actions.
Exactly. And if you're in a situation where someone's constantly manipulating you, limit contact as much as you can.
That's easier said than done, especially if it's like someone you care about.
I hear you. It can be incredibly tough. But your well-being comes first. Always. And don't be afraid to seek support. Talk to a trusted friend, family, even a therapist.
Having that outside perspective can be so valuable, especially when you're feeling stuck.
Absolutely. We all need that objective viewpoint sometimes to help us see things more clearly.
This is pretty heavy stuff. But the book isn't all doom and gloom, right? It also explores how persuasion can be a positive force, doesn't it?
It does, and that's what we'll get into next. Because understanding persuasion isn't just about defending yourself, it's about using these principles ethically to achieve your own goals and build stronger connections with others.
I'm definitely interested to hear more about that. Before we move on, though, is there anything that's really resonated with you so far? Anything that's, like, sticking out in your mind?
What's really striking me is how much we communicate without even realizing it. It's making me, replay all my past interactions and wondering, what did I miss? What hidden messages were there?
Right. It's like this whole new world has opened up, and we're just getting started.
Exactly. There's so much more to uncover. It's interesting how the book connects all this darker psychology stuff to communication styles. It actually categorizes body language into different types. Upward, light animated, then there's bold and constant, or even still.
Okay, now I'm curious. Break those down for me a little.
All right, imagine someone who's feeling really upbeat, excited. Their movements might be more upward, like a light animated style. Maybe they're tapping their palms on the table or even bouncing a little in their seat.
Yeah, I can see that. Their energy is literally lifting them up.
Exactly. But then you've got the opposite, right? Bold, constant, and still. That kind of body language can project a lot of confidence, authority even. Think of a leader, someone who stands tall, makes direct eye contact, and their voice is just very clear, unwavering.
You're painting quite the picture. It makes you wonder how much we judge people based on these cues without even realizing it.
The book definitely argues that our personalities and characters play a huge role in how we're perceived. Personality being how we act when we're alone, and character being how we act when others are watching or when something really matters.
So it's like the difference between our private selves and, the face we show the world. We might be a nervous wreck inside, but on the outside, we're all calm, cool, and collected.
Exactly. And the book really stresses this point. Actions speak louder than words. We can say we're confident, but if our body language is screaming insecurity, well, people tend to believe what they see, not what they hear.
It's a good reminder to be mindful of how we present ourselves, even in those small moments that don't seem like a big deal. But let's switch gears for a second. The book goes pretty deep into deception, like how to spot a liar. That's always been fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's like that classic detective work. The book focuses a lot on the eyes. Liars often avert their gaze, or they blink rapidly, their pupils might be dilated, all signs of nerves or anxiety.
I've heard that liars touch their faces more too, like rubbing their nose or covering their mouth. It's almost like they're subconsciously trying to block the lie from coming out.
Yes. The book talks about that too. And it also highlights inconsistencies between verbal and nonverbal communication. Someone might say they're happy, but their face and their tone of voice say something totally different.
So it's about looking for those mismatches, right? When someone's words and their body language don't line up, That's a red flag.
You got it. It's like a puzzle. You have to put all the pieces together to see the full picture.
This deep dive isn't just about catching liars, though, right? The book also has some insights into how we can improve our own communication, how to be more persuasive in a good way. That's what I'm really interested in.
Oh, absolutely. One technique it talks about is mirroring. The idea is that by subtly imitating someone's body language, you can create a sense of rapport and connection.
So if they lean forward, I lean forward. If they cross their legs, I cross mine.
Right. But subtly, of course. You don't want to make it weird.
Definitely not. More like matching their energy, but in a natural way.
Exactly. The book also emphasizes open body language, uncrossed arms facing the person directly, good eye contact.
It makes sense. It shows you're confident, approachable. People are more likely to listen to what you have to say.
You got it. It's about creating that welcoming presence.
Wow. This deep dive has been packed with information. We've covered so much dark psychology, body language, how to spot a liar, even those manipulation tactics. Oh, and some tips on being a better communicator. Before we jump into the positive side of persuasion, I'd love to get your take. What are some ethical ways we can use this knowledge, to make our relationships and interactions better?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think one of the biggest takeaways here is the power of really listening. When you pay attention to what someone is saying, not just the words, but their body language too, it creates a deeper understanding, a real connection.
It's about going beyond just hearing, but truly absorbing the message, the emotions behind it, and then responding in a way that shows you get it.
Exactly. It's about making the other person feel seen, heard, which is so important for any relationship.
And it ties back to what we're saying about body language. Paying attention to those cues can tell you so much about what someone is really feeling.
Absolutely. The book also talks about framing. Like the way we present information can totally change how it's perceived. For example, if you focus on the positive aspects of a situation or on shared goals, it's way more persuasive than using fear tactics or being negative.
It's like choosing the right lens to view a situation through.
Yeah.
A positive frame can completely shift the energy.
Exactly. And we can't forget about authenticity. People can spot a fake a mile away, when someone's being manipulative. Authenticity, on the other hand, builds trust. It opens the door for more genuine, productive interactions.
It's about being true to yourself and letting that shine through.
Well said. So it's not about becoming some master manipulator. It's about using this understanding of human behavior to connect with others on a deeper, more authentic level.
I love that. It's about using this knowledge for good, not to take advantage of people or get ahead at their expense.
Exactly. And that's what we'll explore next. The positive side of persuasion. One of the most intriguing parts of the book, at least for me, was how it explored neuro-linguistic programming. NLP, for short. It really dives into this connection between language, our thought patterns, and how we behave.
Okay, I've heard of NLP, but I gotta be honest, it always kind of sounded a little, mystical. Can you break it down for us? What's it really all about?
The book presents it as a practical toolkit for understanding and even influencing human behavior. It's about seeing the patterns in how we think, how we communicate, how we react to everything around us, almost like decoding the software running in our minds.
So we're not talking about mind control or anything, right?
Definitely not. Ethical NLP, it's all about empowerment for ourselves and for others. The book emphasizes using these techniques for personal growth, becoming better communicators, even overcoming those beliefs that hold us back. It's like having this toolbox full of strategies to upgrade your mental operating system.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture, but can you give us some actual examples of these NLP techniques?
Sure. One powerful one is called anchoring. It's about creating a link between a specific stimulus and the emotional state you want to feel. Imagine, you've got this big presentation coming up, but you always get nervous beforehand.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
With anchoring, you could choose a physical touch, like squeezing your thumb and forefinger together. And you associate that with feeling super confident, self-assured.
So you'd practice squeezing your fingers while you're picturing yourself totally nailing the presentation, feeling that calm, that sense of control.
Exactly. And by doing that over and over, pairing that physical sensation with the positive feeling, eventually just squeezing your fingers will bring back those confident vibes, even when you're in the middle of a stressful moment.
That's amazing. It's like creating a shortcut in your brain to access the emotion you want.
You got it. It's about rewiring how your brain responds to things. The book also talks about reframing. Basically, it's shifting your perspective on a situation to change how you feel about it.
So instead of seeing a challenge as a threat, you reframe it as an opportunity for growth.
Exactly. It's about changing the story you tell yourself. NLP is all about understanding how much power our thoughts have, how they shape our feelings and actions.
The book doesn't shy away from, well, the darker side of NLP either, does it? I mean, if these techniques can be used for good, couldn't they also be used to, manipulate people?
Yeah, it does touch upon that. It acknowledges that these techniques can be misused. You see it in advertising, sales, even in cult-like settings. It's about being aware of that potential for misuse so we can protect ourselves.
What about those subliminal messages they talk about in advertising? Is that real? Are they using NLP to influence our shopping habits?
Well, the book suggests that while the subliminal messages might not directly control our behavior, they can definitely influence our perception. Like, they create subconscious associations. So it's more about being a smart consumer, understanding the tactics being used.
It's like this constant mental chess match, trying to stay a step ahead.
That's a great way to put it. But here's the empowering part. The book emphasizes that we always have a choice. We get to choose how we respond to these influences. Understanding NLP, it helps us be more conscious, more discerning about the information coming at us, and then we can make choices that align with our own values.
It's about reclaiming control over your mind, your decisions, not letting others push you around.
That's the core of it. The book makes a strong argument that mastering these principles, whether it's dark psychology, body language, or even NLP, can be incredibly empowering. It's about understanding the rules of the game and then playing strategically, but ultimately using that knowledge for good.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into people, what's the one big aha moment you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I'd like them to really think about this. Now that you've got a better grasp of these concepts, how can you use this knowledge ethically? How can you improve your own communication, your relationships? Can you see those subtle signs of manipulation now? Can you use the power of persuasion to make a positive impact? The answers, they're all within you.
Those are some powerful questions to ponder. It's like we've been given a secret decoder ring for human behavior.
And remember, this journey of understanding each other, it never really ends. There's always something new to learn.
That's so true. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive. It's been eye-opening, to say the least.
My pleasure. It's been great exploring all this with you.
And to our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed the ride as much as we have. Keep those decoder rings handy. And remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to understanding ourselves and each other. Until next time, stay curious.